Alrighty, ladies and gents who love sports just as much as I do, you know what I mean? So, as you know, sports ain't going around right now on TV. Everything's canceled. So, I decided to talk about the NFL and two all-time great players who play the position of tight end. And I'm going to put my 2 cents on why I think one is better. And I mean, at the end of the day, these are 2 Hall of Fame tight ends. So none of these guys are garbage. Okay. So I'm just going to make a claim. And I know y'all are going to say it's biased because this person, as you know, Antonio Gates played on my team, my favorite team. But just so y'all know I'm not biased, I'm going to go on record right now and say Phillip Rivers is the greatest Charger quarterback of all time. That's it. That's all. He's not the best quarterback ever. LaDainian Tomlinson, best Charger running back of all time. Not the best running back ever in history. That's my opinion. I know some guys might feel that LT is the greatest, but overall, I don't think he's the greatest. So that should let you know right there that those two, you know what I'm saying? Because the Chargers never had a wide receiver that was even close to being called the greatest of all time. So I'm going to just leave it right then and there. This is I believe that Antonio Gates is better than Tony Gonzalez. And as you see, I got the research right here, fellas. So I'm about to read this off to you guys. Let's start off with the great number 1 tight end in everyone's mind, Tony Gonzalez. Here we go. So we're going to go with receptions, okay? 1,325 receptions. Those are how many passes Tony Gonzalez has caught in his career. How many times was he targeted? No idea. He has the NFL record of 15,127 yards. You feel me? I had to pause real quick because I wanted to make sure I got every number right. I don't want to be 1 yard off, below or ahead. Exactly the number. That is the NFL record for a tight end. When it comes to receptions, he's only behind Jerry Rice and Larry Fitzgerald. Tony Gonzalez, amazing stats. There's no tight end that has more catches than him. So that's great for Tony Gonzalez. He averaged 11.4 yards per catch. He had 111 touchdowns. Played 17 seasons. Yes. So, that's Tony Gonzalez for you. Hall of Fame, number 1 ballot, easy peasy. So let's go to Antonio Gates, Charger quarterback. Oh, sorry. Charger tight end. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm actually excited to destroy you guys. So, let's go with total catches, 955, Antonio Gates. Yards, 11,841. He averaged 12.4 catches per game. Yards per game, you know what I mean. He had 116 touchdowns total, which is the most touchdowns in NFL history by a tight end ever. Also, he had the most touchdowns combined quarterback and tight end tandem ever, beating John Elway and Shannon Sharp. Antonio Gates played 16 seasons. That's 1 season less than Tony Gonzalez, just in case y'all didn't know. He trailed Gonzalez in total yards by 3,286. He also had 370 less catches than Tony Gonzalez. Let me say that again. He had 370 less catches than Tony Gonzalez, but averaged 12.4 more yards per catch. And he also had 5 more touchdowns more than Tony Gonzalez, while playing 1 season less than Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez had 1.4 times the catches than Antonio Gates. Just in case for the ones in the back didn't hear me, Tony Gonzalez had 1.4 times the catches more than Antonio Gates. In the workplace, that's almost equivalent to time and a half, as we say. More catches than Antonio Gates, while also playing one season more and averaging less yards per catch. 5 touchdowns less, while playing one season more. Just in case y'all didn't hear me on that. So let's go to receivers, you know what I'm saying, on why they were targeted so much, both of these tight ends. So, Tony Gonzalez, he had Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes. Last time I checked, those are running backs / slot receivers. And those are one. He played with both of them for 2 seasons together? Maybe? But he played with one of them separately pretty much for their entirety of their career. So who are we throwing to? Okay, Tony Gonzalez. Just in case y'all don't believe me, Tony Gonzalez was getting 93, 99, 96, 83 catches in a season. Are you serious? That's not because Tony Gonzalez was just so great. That was because they had no wide receiving core at all whatsoever. But to make his claim on why he was so great, dude still caught all them balls. So, I mean, you got to have hands at the end of the day to catch that many passes if you don't have wide receivers. I mean, it's not his fault. Dude still caught the catches that was thrown to him. But the point is, he had way more passes thrown to him than Antonio Gates. Why? Because Antonio Gates had receivers like Malcolm Floyd, Vincent Jackson, Eric Parker, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, homeboy, his name is Inman. I forgot his first name. Eckler, Michael Turner, Darren Sproles, LaDainian Tomlinson. We can go all day. Are you serious? Phillip Rivers had so many weapons in his career other than Antonio Gates to throw to. Just imagine if Phillip Rivers only had Antonio Gates. If the same scenario situation was for the Chargers that Tony Gonzalez had, and all he had to throw to was Antonio Gates and everybody else was pretty much a non-factor, dude, look what he did with 370 less catches and 1 year less seasons played than Tony Gonzalez. He not only averaged more yards per catch, but he had 5 more touchdowns than Gonzalez, with 1 season less than Gonzalez had. Also having 370 less catches. And with that being said, he only trailed Gonzalez by 3,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but in totality, that's really not. Because like I said, all them other catches and passes that were thrown were to actual wide receivers when it comes to the Chargers. So my point is, if you gave Antonio Gates the same amount of catches that you gave Tony Gonzalez over here, it wouldn't be close. I'm saying that right now. It's simple math here. You feel me? I wasn't that good at math in school, but even I can comprehend this. It's pretty simple. Yards-wise, Tony Gonzalez got it because dude caught almost 1,400 passes. Are you serious right now? The nigga is literally only trailing Larry Fitzgerald and Jerry Rice when it comes to receptions. That's ridiculous. He's literally the only person that they were throwing to. But like I said, kudos to the homie. The nigga still caught all them passes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to who you picking, overall best tight end, blocking, catching, route running, athleticism, it's Antonio Gates. Plain and simple. That's not being biased just because I'm a Charger fan. That's just what it is. After I just completely dissected this whole argument, there's nothing to debate about between the two. Everything I just said was literal facts. You can go to Google, print this stuff out, dog. There's nothing else to talk about. Tony Gonzalez had Matt Ryan and Trent Green, nigga. Those are 2 great quarterbacks right there. So Antonio Gates had Drew Brees for 2 seasons. Something like that. Let me check. Okay, yeah. Just about 2.5 seasons he had Drew Brees, and then Phillip Rivers took over. So he had 2 quarterbacks his entire career. Those 2 quarterbacks are great and better than Tony Gonzalez quarterbacks. But like I said, those 2 quarterbacks also had other wide receivers to throw to. They weren't just hitting Gates. They had weapons. So I can't even imagine what would have happened if Antonio Gates was literally the only target on the Chargers. That dude probably would have reached 125, if not 130 touchdowns. It would have been crazy. Just saying, y'all. That's my point, and I hope y'all learned something.